I'm Ellen Baumgartner, and I'm going to read a couple of selections from a discussion course book on voluntary simplicity that Simply Living offers. This one is entitled When Enough is Enough, and it's by F. Marina Schaffler. The crows in our neighborhood live for Wednesdays. Since the town mandated that trash be collected in labeled plastic bags, few people use garbage cans. Midnight mornings and Wednesdays, the crows have gone from house to house like trick-or-treaters, digging into bags and pulling out goodies. Their garbage fest leaves a flurry of plastic wrap and paper towels strewn across driveways and yards. The crows are unrepentant. Like our own species, they are shrewd opportunists. They want their food rich, fast, and cheap. No sense hunting and foraging in the woods when the neighborhood provides compost pile franchises and trash bag outlets. Even as I collect tissues and wrappers from the front lawn, I can't begrudge the crows their indulgence. I admire their confidence and cunning. Yet, among my own kind, I find this talent for consumption markedly less endearing. What is the difference? Why does the crow's behavior seem innocuous, even admirable, while human gluttony sparks condemnation? The double standard could be taken as evidence of a misanthropic impulse or a vestigial puritanism quick to decry wanton decadence. But the issue is more basic than that. Where the crows excel and we stumble is in knowing the value of human lives. The crows are resourceful at finding food, but they don't take more than they need. They know instinctively when enough is enough. For all our sophistication in modern culture, we have lost this basic intuition. We've grown so adept at consumption, we have trouble distinguishing genuine need from spurious desires. A counterbalance to consumption lies in the more than human world. Outdoors, in the unpaved places, the static of commercial culture fades. In the quiet that follows comes a sense that could never be bought. It can't even be fairly described. Each morning upon arising, I go to where a wind-blown oak stands. Its stone-gray trunk splays into a disheveled tangle of half-dead branches. Resting a shoulder on rutted bark, I let my senses waken. Lichen forms a pastel green collage on the trunk. Buds like water droplets mark nearby birch boughs. A spatter of snow stirs oak leaves. From a dark expanse of pines comes the throaty gargle of raven. Here the threads that hold together the whole are palpable. Oak, birch, raven, human, lichen, each part of a kaleidoscope turned faithfully by sun and moon. The mesmerizing patterns of shifting light, wind, and weather. The order in chaos. The mystery of the mundane. In this place and this moment, enough is enough. To sense this elemental kinship is to know grace. To hold it within and live by it is to know discipline. The delight of kinship carries with it a demand. Being reminded each morning of all we belong to, I cannot live a disconnected life. The choice to honor ecological ties does not stem from moral duty or a concern for the rights of other species. The underlying ethic is not derived from Kantian imperatives, Aristotelian virtues, or utilitarian calculations. It is an ethic born of care. It comes from knowing other species, not as taxonomic types, but as individuals and communities. This knowledge can focus time and attention. A practice of ecological kinship can be likened to the Buddhist concept of mindfulness, which counsels us to be fully present, attentive to where we are and what we are doing. Our attention to the natural world yields unexpected gifts, moments of beauty and symmetry that nourish our deepest hungers. Yet the same attention brings anguish as we see how our actions rend the fabric of life. The torn shards lie all about. A cancerous sun burns down, its shield dissolved by our automotive alchemy. The spring grows silent as warblers decline, evicted from their habitat in both hemispheres. And along our highways lie the crushed and crumpled bodies of countless creatures we call roadkills. What do their deaths say about our lives? To dwell with open eyes and open heart in the midst of ecological devastation is a spiritual discipline. Each instance of destruction in the larger world calls us back to our own practice. The size of our ecological weight depends on the myriad daily choices we make: what we buy, what we eat, what we drive, and how much we buy, how much we eat, how much we drive. For each of us, the choices will differ, and they will change over time. We can never eliminate our wake, only minimize it through conscientious practice. As my sense of ecological kinship grows, my choices gradually change. I find myself traveling less by car and more by bike, choosing organic food, and I would add local food, and second-hand clothing, shopping less and savoring more time outdoors. I have decided not to upgrade either my 10-year-old computer or 10-year-old car. My television of the same vintage was given away years ago. By avoiding commercial radio and publications, I found one can elude many of the 1,500 advertising images aimed at us daily. These choices carry no sense of deprivation. In fact, each affirms the value of sufficiency over surfeit. My life is less cluttered by gadgetry that demands maintenance, styles that go out of fashion, and time savers that devour more time than they free. Even my perception of time is changing. It no longer seems like a scarce commodity to be rationed. Time has become more fluid and cyclical, a pattern at once reassuring and mysterious. There is enough time now to dwell in timeless moments. When saffron light floods the room at sunset, when blooms of Christmas cactus emerge, when a letter from a friend arrives, carrying stories of a faraway life. The more I glimpse the full breadth of living time can hold, the harder it gets to return to conventional measures, days dictated by timesheets and overtime. Eco-psychologist Robert Greenway encountered a similar response when he led groups of corporate employees on wilderness trips. The employees loved the expeditions. The firms did not. Greenway was told the trips would have to end. The firm, after their wilderness stay, too many employees had returned to work only long enough to give notice. Greenway's story confirms that even a brief immersion in the natural world can reshuffle our priorities. A sustained commitment to honor the whole of nature can recast the form of our lives. That commitment may grow slowly, sprouting from the rich compost of experience deep within us, or it may strike with sudden grace, an epiphany that breaks through the surface of our lives. Okay. And I have another one shorter. This one, the author is anonymous, but it's titled Mexican Fisherman. An American businessman was at the pier of a small coastal Mexican village when a small boat with just one fisherman docked. Inside the small boat were several large yellowfin tuna. The American complimented the Mexican on the quality of his fish and asked how long it took to catch them. The Mexican replied, "Only a little while." The American then asked, "Why didn't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" The Mexican said he had enough to support his family's immediate needs. The American then asked, "But what do you do with the rest of your time?" The Mexican fisherman said, "I sleep late, fish a little, play with my children, take siesta with my wife, Maria, and stroll into the village each evening where I sip wine and play guitar with my amigos. I have a full and busy life, senor. The American scoffed. I am a Harvard MBA, and I could help you. You should spend more time fishing, and with the proceeds, buy a bigger boat. With the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could buy several boats. Eventually, you would have a fleet of fishing boats. Instead of selling your catch to a middleman, you would sell directly to the processor, eventually opening your own cannery. You would control the product, processing, and distribution. You could leave this small coasting fishing village and move to Mexico City, then LA, and eventually New York City, where you would run your expanding enterprise. The Mexican fisherman asked, "But senor, how long will all this take?" 15 to 20 years was the reply. "But what then, senor?" The American laughed and said, "Oh, that's the best part. When the time is right, you would announce an IPO and sell your company stock to the public and become very rich. You would make millions." "Millions, senor? Then what?" Triumphantly, the American replied, "Then you would retire. You'd move to a small coastal fishing village where you would sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take siesta with your wife, stroll to the village in the evening where you could sip wine and play guitar with your amigos." How's my time? Okay. I have just two brief things from this little book called Earth Prayers. These are Earth Prayers from around the world, and they have different sections in them. And this is just the introduction to the section on healing the whole. I'm just going to read part of it. During this time of great imbalance on planet Earth, we may feel ourselves torn between the priorities of healing ourselves, resolving our own inner spiritual or psychological problems, and attempting to cure the social and economic ills that beset our culture. While each of us undoubtedly has much inner work to do, this attitude misses the main point of Earth Prayer. It continues to view the individual as somehow separate from the rest of the world. But if we accept that we are totally part of this living Earth, then we must recognize that isolated health is an illusion. Healing ourselves and working to resolve the contradictions in the human Earth ecology is the same work. All healing involves making whole again, resolving the contradictions that exist between self and other, body and spirit, mind and nature. And the last one I'm going to read is a little short one by M.J. Slim Hui. I don't know who he is. "I have come to terms with the future. From this day onward, I will walk easy on the earth, plant trees, kill no living things, live in harmony with all creatures. I will restore the earth where I am, use no more of its resources than I need, and listen to what it is telling me."